We're gonna quickly run through this concept. So there's some legalese. If you have any questions, you can ask Snapper. But but anyway, it just says, we're not experts, whatever we recommend here, blah, 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 do it, on your own terms and understandings and so forth, consideration. So we're not held liable for any of that.
If you go decide to buy a property for $5 million and you only get 100, so negative on it, you don't come back to us.
That's right. Told me to buy it. So, all right, no warranties or anything given here on anything we say. Let's move on. Okay, filming photography at your own risk. All right, next one. So I just want to quickly go through the zone because we have limited time and I want to make sure you hear the full effect of what Ben has to say because he's awesome. And then let's see. You're in it. Okay, so if you're doing this, right, and you mentioned, you decided to go with commercial as opposed to residential because it's less work and so forth. However much effort you put into this, you're into sales and marketing. You have to sell yourself, your capabilities. You have to show people that they can trust you. And, the bag of opportunities and deals that you can bring, you have to sell that to people. You have to show them that these are viable things. So we are in a sales and marketing thing, even if you're an investor. Let's go to the next one, please. And so, when it comes to these things, and we'll go through this zone thing, finding these opportunities, whether it's commercial, residential, multifamily, single family dwellings, apartments, whatever, there's a certain way that you should go about prospecting, networking, and marketing these things. It's just a systematic way of doing things, which I'm sure Ben is going to talk about it too. Next one, please. So there's this, and being mindful of being very efficient in what you're doing, right? Cutting the fat away out of your process and making it so focused and narrow that whatever activity you do is as efficient as possible, right? And you're going to learn this over time, right? There's different tools and things like that you're going to learn from other people. You're going to develop it yourselves, little tricks. Like I drive down the road, I see a house, I'm like, holy crap. What do I do? It's so simple. I go to Zillow GPS, I click on it, it shows me the house, I share it to my Trello board. What does that do? That puts a like in Zillow. So if there's any status updates or anything like that, I quickly get an alert. And then it's also in my prospecting board, then I go through the board, my Trello board. So just silly things like that, and it actually helps a lot.
Also, yeah, I was gonna say also, there's a couple of key tools that you learn over time as well. One is like you develop sort of an internal bullshit meter in terms of is what this person is saying to me or selling to me actually viable, right? That definitely comes with time that, you as you get more and more comfortable with your numbers and, like the neighborhoods and the markets, you can understand within a minute whether or not this is worth your time, right? And then the other thing I think you were touching on a little bit, like how you automate, how do you, get it to a point where, a task that might take 2-3 hours, you can reduce to like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Right, so what are those different systems you can put in place to help?
Because it's only you right now, so how do you maximize these things and make sure you're as efficient as possible? And so, the purpose of this zone that they're talking about is having a systematic way of generating these opportunities, leads, and so forth, so that in the end, you can come up with a good outcome. You can find these offices that you're looking for, these strip malls and things like that, or you can find your own, residential things, apartments and things like that through the zone process. Next one. So let's go over zone, each letter stands for something, zero in on your target market. This could be, if you go to the next one. So there's several steps here, so you do your research, how do I do my research? I wanna hear from you guys too. So how to, research, my type of, how I research is, I'm on the road all day. And I look at certain patterns, and having done this for over 10 years, immediately when I enter a neighborhood, boom, it hits, it's like, holy cow, this is a gold mine. How do I know that? It could be, it's actually really simple, it's proximity to good schools. Obviously, you guys have heard this, looking at, what's going on in the market in terms of sales and so forth and equity rises. You can also look at tax assessments and see how tax assessments are going. Just how the neighborhoods are laid out in terms of the width of the streets and you look at, if the lawns are well taken care of and just in general, that's at least how I do it. Did you guys want to share as far as, your research, Hassan, what kind of research?
Yeah, I mean, typically, I'm a little bit more risk averse when it comes to, what I'm willing to invest in. Right, so, for me, DC is pretty much out the window when it comes to that right now. I mean, there's certain parts of it where I'm like, that just sounds like a really good deal, right? I'll consider it. For me, my comfort zone is gonna be Northern Virginia, right? There's certain parts of Northern Virginia that I know really well. I live in Burke, Virginia. I know that area like the back of my hand at this point, living there for about 2.5 years. Annandale, I lived there, I know that area really well, and I really well with Virginia. So pretty much anything in that, off of 95, 395 down to 95, I know like the back of my hand and I understand it. If there's a deal there, like I see it, I know it, I'm bringing it to the table. I think, when it comes to that second part there, the value prop, it's really, coming up with what differentiates you in your neighborhood or in that market that you're setting forth, right? For me, a lot of times when I'm talking to like sellers or I'm talking with folks in my neighborhood, I from a mortgage side even, I provide a little bit more like a ancillary support system to other agents as well, where I'm helping to sell them on the opportunity. So that's kind of where I come in with my value prop specifically, and that's kind of my brand.
Right. That builds your brand through doing that and bringing it all together. And again, we're going to talk about this later. So the next part of zone is that own the mind share of your market. So if you can go to the next one. So what does this mean? Again, there's several steps here. You start with prospecting. This could be going door to door. This could be, so you use your own time to find the leads, whether it's in commercial, residential, and through various channels. It can be, I saw even Craigslist. People still use Craigslist. My mom used to use Craigslist in the late 90s to post open houses. I still do it. I posted our properties, open house on Craigslist. And so some of these channels are still viable. And then there is, paid marketing. So there's networking also, focus on finding people that can get you to those markets that you want to go for. And then grow it through marketing and, pay for Google ads or whatever else to build the awareness and let people know what you're interested in, so that you can find those leads and grow it. So if we can go.
Yeah, and then just on top of that, right? So within your market, I mean, networking can be as easy as going to your HOA picnic, right, in your neighborhood, and is having a normal conversation, like, hey, by the way, like, I do mortgages, or hey, like, I'm a real estate agent, or I look to do this. Right, and the number of conversations I've been able to have just by opening up and talking about what I do, and it's been amazing, right? So we can start with basketball book clubs, right, like pickleball, whatever it might be, whatever, like whatever floats your boat, right?
Or Snapper, he goes to a networking meeting
Yeah.
every week, different grid meeting. And so that's one way of it. You go to the breakfast club, you've changed it, I don't know what other networking events besides grid are you going to, or are you just sticking with grid?
So some of the commercial real estate ones, and then I'm also a coach. So, I've been going to a lot of, other events where. Interestingly, I was trying to do both at the same time last year, and I decided it's just too much.
Yeah.
So I've kind of cut back on some of those, but I did go to one last week and another one tomorrow, but. So,
Yeah, I think, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I just wanted to throw in here, it really can be anything that puts you in front of more people and gives you the opportunities to have conversations around real estate and talk about what you do, right? And you don't wanna, you don't wanna always be like, people are afraid of realtors sometimes because you're always like trying to find your next deal and introducing yourself as a realtor. But I think the thing that, at least for my business, that I try to focus on is how can I serve the needs of the people that I'm trying to connect with? And if I lead with service, and if I lead with how can I add value, what do they need? How can I support them in finding what they want? Then eventually what comes back is an opportunity. And it's really like, I'll give you a really silly example. Okay, so every Tuesday night I host a dinner club. I set it up on Meetup and I choose a place, I make a reservation. I invite up to 8 people to come and join me. I top it at 8 because it's too many people, I'm a small crowd person, so. And then I just sort of facilitate a conversation where people get to connect. So what's the value that I'm bringing? I'm providing an opportunity for people to connect that want to, and people to check out different restaurants, right? So I have a list of restaurants that we get to check out. And from that, somebody last week reached out and said, hey, you mentioned that you do real estate. I'm looking to buy a house in DC. Here's a house, I need some comps. And now we're on the path to finding a deal. You can do anything that really interests you. I mean, do the stuff that interests you, right? Like don't go do something that doesn't interest you. Having dinner with people doesn't interest you, don't do that.
Yeah, don't make it uncomfortable.
Right, because you're not gonna do it over the long term, right? You're gonna stop after a couple of times, but it really can be anything. I host a book club on Thursday nights once a month. We do this once a month. I do the dinner club. For me, in person is better than online. Like I'm not a big social media person, so I'm not gonna dominate the mind share through social media. I'm a little too old for that. But meeting people face to face does work.
Yeah, and I'd say the right breakdown is exactly what you mentioned, right? Like there's 50% real estate networking events, right? Getting other ideas, meeting like-minded people that are in your space. But then the other 50% is kind of like being like that, because like if you're in this room, we're all like pretty much the same boat, right? Whereas if you take what you learn here and then you go to a dinner club, right? Now you're like the expert from a real estate perspective. You're bringing all those perspectives together into your one persona, right? And then to your point, yeah, like people are gonna be like, oh wow, like Linda, like does real estate. She's talking about like investments. I wonder like if I can get into like real estate investing now. So that's kind of like how I think the best way to approach it would be.
The most important message here is giving, and I think there's a saying that people remember how you made them feel, not what you told them. So when it comes to networking, make sure that bring that feeling, and then they'll say, oh, Nathan, what a nice guy. I remember, oh yeah, and he invests and blah, blah, blah. So. All right, next one. Different ways of prospecting, outbound activity or trading time for leads. I think we talked about this. I think we beat it to death. Networking, we talked about this. And marketing, go out, conquer use Google AdWords, social media, postcards, door hangers, but then there's so much data that Alex, oh, we forgot to ask them to introduce them, but Alex is big on, he's on Zoom, he was here last time. But he's big on data, you know, his main thing is he goes and crunches numbers and whatever that's publicly available, and then he helps folks who want Airbnb opportunities and so forth. So there's so much data out there that if you can get your hands on it, you know, it's all free and you can leverage it however you wish. So there's that channel available as well. And then obviously, yeah, the message, right? Making sure you get the message right to your audience. So again, commercial, what you're looking for in terms of, you know, if you want more syndication opportunities and things like that, you just search for that. You're like, listen, I don't want to handle it. I just want to make sure that there's a really nice syndication fund that I can go join, and I don't need to manage anything. Someone else is going to take care of it, and I'm going to trust them that they're going to do that.
Also, by the way, anyone who's interested in syndications, there's a group I know that I used to be part of. That they vet all different kinds of syndication deals that come through there. And it's, I mean, everything from crypto investments, real estate, residential and commercial, to like AI. So it's interesting. I'm happy to share that. I just don't want to forget.
Share it with me, and then I can share it with the entire group. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and I've been to a couple of their conferences, like this is before we decided to get into commercial, because we thought, well, how can we learn about like multifamily, and we did a few of those, but nothing like doing it yourself to really learn, so we said do that today.
So with syndication, there's a really nice book. I don't know if you've read it or I mean, it can get pretty deep.
Yeah.
I'll share it with the team. It's called Principles of Real Estate Syndication by Samuel Freshman.
Okay.
So he's still around. He's actually in California in a law firm, but I'll make sure I share this. It goes
Yeah.
deep into.
And I have another book, I'll have to check that one out, but
Yeah.
I have another book that also gives you the lowdown. And I recommend people read the book before they do any syndications, unlike us who tried it first and then learn to read it.
Very cool. Hey guys, how are you? Good. So we're just running through this, and then we'll do a little bit of an intro with you guys and whoever's online. No, so, all right, next slide. And nurture. So everyone here knows what a CRM is, right? I love HubSpot. I use HubSpot. It's free. And as soon as opportunities come, I drop it in HubSpot. It's essentially a glorified Trello board. And you know, I grow my database and you know, of leads and so forth, and opportunities, and my contacts go in there, and you know, I keep nurturing it, grooming it, and so forth until I land something. Do you use a CRM?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm in a couple of different industries, so I have 3 different CRMs. Honestly speaking, though, a lot of it does live in here. But there is a lot of just going back, you know, at least weekly or probably yearly go back and clean it up a little bit. Right.
I think
Can I say
that,
something here?
yeah.
You know, with the amount of data that exists in the world right now, like, I don't know about you guys, but email is killing me. Like, there's just way too much stuff that comes through email. There's a lot of content out there. There's a lot of resources. I really think the place where there's a lot of opportunity is helping people make sense of the information that's already out there, right? So if you can provide some sort of space or some sort of communication that really helps people make sense of the data that they're running into, I think that's really where the opportunity is. We don't have a whole lot of time to process everything, even though we have access to it, right? We don't have time to look at all of the applications, even though they're all there. So anything you can do in that space, and I think that's with nurturing, that's really key too, is if you can provide consistent value, help people make sense of the information that they're running into in the space that you're trying to dominate, and then consistently keep in contact by developing and putting in place those systems that Keyvan was talking about earlier, so that it's semi-automated, semi-regular, on a regular schedule. You know, I have little notes in my calendar that say, today you need to send out the reminder for book club, and today you need to send out the reminder for dinner club. And I set up tasks so that I don't have to keep it all in my mind, right? Because if I did, everything would fall into cracks, right? There are systems that you can set in place to help you do that, keeping in mind, like, help people make sense of the world in the areas that they are really interested in.
Very good. Then E is empower and impact your community, which is really what Glenda just talked about, and we knocked it out. So educate the community, you know, host events, engage local businesses, things like that. So that's zone. Any questions? So I want to bring Ben up here in the panel. We have a set of questions. Ben has some slides.
Yeah.
Before we do that, Ben, while you're setting up, let's go over the two folks that are online and have them introduce themselves and what they're.
We have Alexander now. Alexander, do you want to say something really quickly about who you are and what brought you to Grid?
Sure. I'm going to a lot of the Grid events here in the area. Like Keyvan said, I am a Airbnb or an STR guy. STR in general. We don't rely on Airbnb, it's just direct bookings. But if you have a property that you'd like to STR, I can look at the zip code, I can look at the comparables for you and find the comparable numbers. And as well, and underwrite that for you. So not only look at the zip code, look at what possible revenue you will generate with an STR, but then underwrite the deal and see if it's worth it for you. Also, and here's a new one for you, Keyvan, is that the group that I'm with that I'm is helping with that information, they have a wholesale group as well. And so I'm all in with that. So as for me, I'm going to be researching the better zip codes in the Virginia area to see if I can find those wholesale deals and then find a buyer and then manage that property as well. So that's how I'll get the money, is I'll manage the property for you. If you'll let me research and underwrite the deal.
Thanks,
Thank you
Alex.
for that, Alexander.
Appreciate it. Two wonderful.
Well, don't mute me. Don't mute me. Give me back up again. I'll mute myself. There we go. Okay, now I can hear you again. I couldn't hear you.
Okay.
I'm new to, I just want to learn about real estate. This is my first meetup ever. And I just want to give one.
Welcome.
Monty Social, referred by my cousin Jay, to come by and check this out. Also from auto, background, living to get my first property. So again, from here.
Very cool. Yeah. What kind of autos?
And we have a dealership in Stafford and I told him.
Oh, very cool.
Right.
I get towed a lot. Well, because stuff breaks down. All right, Ben. So how do we, so Ben's gonna run through his slides, right? Or did you want to do a panel?
Yeah, let's start maybe with the introduction with Ben and sort of going over some of the things he's gonna bring up, and then, you know, we'll have a couple of, Q&A session at the end.
Perfect. Yeah, that sounds good. Oh,
Yeah, I can do the slides.
yeah, it's perfect. Hey guys, kind of give you a little intro, but yeah, working for this company called New Western. I've done quite a few transactions on the buy side and on the sales side, working with cash buyers and also with sellers, with agents, with wholesalers. However I can get deals, I will. But yeah, I've been doing this for 3 or 4 years now. Had a good amount of success. And so happy to share whatever I can.
So I think one important thing that you mentioned last year at Carrie's networking event was how you were new to this area. And so we'd be really curious as to how did you grow your roots here? How did you grow your network, find these deals? Because you were new.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole team was new here, right?
Yeah, no, it was very difficult, especially like now, I mean, you can use it as is comp. When we got here, the market had completely shifted from the hottest market in recent memory to just, going very downhill. So things that were selling 500 are now selling for 450 or whatever it is. So it was very difficult, like data wise, like usually like if you're like coming into a steady market and then you're like starting instead, like you can use that data, but all the data that we had that we could pull is just unusable. So it was a little difficult to start with, and we just kind of had to like take action. Like it's just like one of those things that you just kind of got to get going, and just meet as many people as you can, learn as much as you can, talk to everybody. Like I feel like that is like what kind of separates someone that does a lot of deals and someone who doesn't. It's just like how often are you on the phone just having real estate conversations or talking with people, whatever it is. Because a lot of people just are terrified someone's gonna shoot them down, and like they probably will. And like,
So,
but it's like some won't. Go ahead.
right, sorry, carrying on. So
No.
these groups that you met, which one of them do you think benefited you the worst with, the best, right there? Yeah. Who wasted your time the most? But where did you bet? Was it the realtors or was it just the word of mouth that, hey, Ben's coming down the street, let's call Graham?
Yeah,
No.
yeah, no, most of the deals that I do, I'll go through two kind of like different avenues of generating it, but it seems in this area, what I've had the most success with, and my team has had the most success with is agents. And we do like a decent amount of deals on the MLS, but it's not really like the goal. Like a lot of the times, like how I connect with people is I'm gonna shoot them an offer on their MLS listing, not really caring if I'm gonna get that deal. It's more of that, almost interviewing for a position, if you will, like, next one that you get off market, send it to me, I'll pay you a finder's fee. And like, that's really like where I found success in dealing with agents, because I mean, they're, working with sellers all the time. And like, just realistically, like for me, like I look for repeat business, like a seller just selling a distressed property, unless they're an investor, probably not gonna deliver as much repeat business as, an investor and an agent or a wholesaler is really what I mainly look for. Obviously a little bit different in my position, but, yeah, I feel like more of my work is on the phone, to be honest, but meetups are great as well. And obviously that's some great people with them as well. But yeah, identifying opportunities. So here's kind of like 5 good ones, and like there's different experience levels, different amounts of money that maybe one might have if you're part-time versus full-time. Obviously there's gonna be like different variations to all of these. There's freeways, which obviously you should definitely do in the beginning, and then there's fadeaways that cost quite a bit of money. So people that are like, I don't know, getting started, I would say I'll kind of get into like the different ones that are more getting started. Like, I mean, you just want to really focus on referrals, agents, branding, email marketing, stuff like that is going to be your cheapest option, and you'll actually get pretty good returns. Like if you call like 100 real estate agents, like even if you don't get a deal, like you probably will get a deal. Like you probably will get a deal. And I mean, I don't know if we have many people that are looking to wholesale in here, but I mean, it's just like getting in the game and just like making those calls. And I feel like a lot of people are scared to do that, but
So Ben, I'm gonna pause you there. We said a word wholesaling and we have some new team members. So do you guys know what wholesaling is?
I believe I understand.
Can we Ben just give us a spiel of?
yeah, definitely. So wholesaling is, so essentially you put a property under contract, say for $100,000, with the intent to sell it to a cash investor for a profit. So, say put it under contract for 100, sell it for 105, we only made 5K. And it's, Simple as that. It's harder to practice, I'd say sometimes, but I mean, it's
But
it's a good way to get started, yeah.
It's volume.
Yeah. So, definitely, I mean, it's, I can't really think of something better to start off with in real estate, because obviously, no matter what you're doing, flipping houses or buying rentals, there's a lot more risk. But
Is wholesale, if I'm not mistaken, I've read up on something that you can essentially like own the rights to a property without having to put money down, but you have to be able to sell it at a certain point. Is that something different?
yeah, it's the, oh man, the equitable interest, that's what it is that you're selling. So yeah, exactly. So yeah, you wouldn't need to put any money down. We actually put down a earnest money deposit that we send from our holding account, but most wholesalers would just take the cash buyers, earnest money deposit. Yeah, so don't really need, yeah, any money. But yeah, so getting started, referrals, I mean, that's Facebook, you know, getting your Facebook out there, telling everybody what you're doing. I feel like just not being afraid to tell people what you're doing, it pays big dividends. Same thing with email marketing, that's just getting agents in a campaign and just sending them something saying that you're looking for fixer upper properties. I've had a lot of success with that. That one's more paid, but it's not as much as some of the other stuff. It's like $300, $200 a month, can be a lot less. And then just branding. I mean, I feel like it's important to, when you're trying to get these deals, once you get in contact with the right person, to say the right things and be responsive. I feel like that will definitely separate you as someone that, you know, they would want to work with. But yeah, once you get going and you're kind of, you know, you maybe did your first deal, you have a little bit of extra cash, you know, you want to get, you know, maybe some VAs calling these, you know, sellers, and that's something that, you know, is going to provide a lot of value, and it's not going to be too expensive, as well as direct mail. And that's kind of your next tier as well. Once you get VAs in direct mail, you're gonna, you know, start rolling a little bit. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
no, yeah. So yeah, just hiring people, because obviously that first stage, I mean, cold calling is great, but eventually you want to try and leverage, like, your time can become more valuable. Essentially, I'd say, as you get going in this business. So hiring virtual assistants, just crank out those calls. You should provide them a big list and see what they can drum up. It's just going to be a lot more time efficient. And then direct mail, they've got this cool app. It's called Deal Machine. So it's more effective to drive for dollars, and you can actually plug them into a CRM. You can actually turn that into a direct mail campaign. It's kind of cool. That's definitely something to check out, but like more of a sniper shot approach for the direct mail. Like, you'll have companies like mine where they're just like pulling massive lists off prompt stream or something, and they're spending, you know, $15,000-$20,000 just on direct mail. Like, you're not going to compete with those guys. You know, it's just like, where you're going to really find these really good off-market leads is something like Deal Machine driving for dollars, and sending out like a handwritten note. You can send it out in bulk, obviously, but there's companies that will make it look like a handwritten note. You send those out to, you know, a few hundred people, and you'll be surprised at kind of the results that you get. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people I'll see just go straight for like spending a few grand on direct mail. And I mean, you can do that if you do it the right way, if you do some sort of drive for dollars Deal Machine style. But if you're just big list, like they've been hit multiple times, and you're gonna want to send those probably every, I don't know, 40 to 60 days, send in at least 4 campaigns. And if they don't pick up, you know, maybe we should consider it dead. And then PPC, pay per click and pay per lead. So that's like kind of like the final tier of marketing. This is gonna be expensive, especially in a big metro like DC. Like, you're probably gonna have to spend at least $15,000 to get some pretty good leads, but it's a lot like better bang for your buck. But it's just like, you really have to be prepared to spend a good amount of money for those. I don't know if anybody's looking to do that necessarily. It's a lot, but I feel like if you do it consistently, you'll really get some great deals from it. So that's I don't know. It's
So you do
some of
that.
it. My company does, I don't personally, but yeah,
So it
They
has to
do.
be tuned and configured and
yeah,
so that that 15,000 is, you know, is used as efficiently as possible.
yeah. And like for the pay per lead, it's one of those things where, I mean, like, when they come in, it's like a really already vetted lead. So you have to be like on top of it, pick up that phone, because it's crazy, it's like if you don't pick up in the first minute or two, the lead's gone. You know, it's just like, so you kind of have to have a team for that. I mean, I'm sure you could do it yourself, but it's like, you know, a few grand if you miss that call, you know, it's like. It's not ideal, and then pay per click is obviously, you know, you see the ads, and someone will click on it and. You know, route you.
Yeah, question Ben for the hiring of VAs, when they're doing all the cold calling, do you have the calls then routed to you that they, to talk to you? Because I'm thinking, the only downside with VAs is if you get somebody live, they might not know what to say, and you have to have that professional conversation.
Yeah, there's oh, I'm spacing on the I'll find it after this, but there's like a specific, like they just deal with like distressed property,
Oh, really?
like their VAs just for that. But even then, I think they are a little bit more expensive than if you just like trained your own VAs.
Right.
And like, I mean, really, like, I mean, what you're trying to figure out is just, you know, motivation,
Right.
and condition. And like, I mean, obviously, if they're. Like you can train them, but it is gonna take a little more patience and but I think it'd probably be worth the spend to get someone that probably knows more what they're talking about. I'll find that website after this.
And I'm not at the point where I could hire a VA yet, but I'm like doing a lot of this stuff myself, but I love the idea of the deal machine thing.
Yeah, it's
Can you talk
great.
a tiny bit more about briefly, like, how do you do that, how do you work?
Yeah, so essentially, I don't know if you've ever used PropStream or not.
I haven't, but I know some folks in our group swear by it.
Yeah,
Like
it's
PropStream
kind of like
And Landmark.
yeah, it's kind of like almost like I don't know, like watered down is the right word, PropStream, but yeah, and it's more like you can like find individual properties and get like a decent amount of info on them. You know, when you're driving for dollars, and then plug them into the CRM, and you can analyze them, as well as send out direct mail from Deal Machine.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
Did you know if it works for commercial as well?
I don't know if it works for commercial as well.
So that was my next question. What you do here applies only to residential. Do you use this for commercial?
I've never done anything in my life in commercial, so I'm not going to be as helpful with that.
Well, I can just say like, all of these are all ways that they recommend if you look for deals on commercial,
Yeah.
So yeah, it all applies.
For sure, yeah. I'm assuming you're saying.
Property radar, how that compares to property.
I have not heard of property radar. No, is that just like what does it do?
Yeah, I mean, from when I've used it, basically you can search by owner, search by property address, it tells you the value, the equity, the mortgage terms, and you have the ability to pay to get the phone number and the email.
Sounds about exact. Okay. Yeah, it sounds.
Yeah, sales rabbit is another one we use. You go stand in front of their house, push it, and it shows their phone number, how much they owe, and it's not always accurate.
Yeah.
So,
How accurate do you think the prop stream is with like contact information?
I mean, I think most of the contact information, I don't know.
Is there a different source that you guys then use to find that, or?
I mean, you can do it like through Deal Machine, it'll offer it. Honestly, most of the time, like me personally, I don't. Even though I'm a wholesaler, I don't really call sellers, we just operate a little bit differently, like we're very relationship based more so, like I do most of my deals with agents and wholesalers and investors. So I don't really call sellers, but a lot of my wholesalers do. We use IDI Core to find investors though, because we kind of specialize more on like, I don't know, we're like a marketplace, like we're good at finding buyers, I would say, more so than investment properties, even though we're obviously good at both, but IDI Core is definitely like the best reverse phone number, reverse person search. We call it reverse search. I don't know if it's like skip trace. So the IDI Core is actually insane. It finds everybody. They give way too much info out about everyone, so, watch out, but,
Oh, if you're a realtor in Virginia, well, you get 4-1 for free, 4-1.
what is that?
4-1 is primarily for background checks, but it's also the phone number that gives me every property they looked at. Every phone number they reviewed. So I did for skip tracing. And you can use it reverse, it's just like a name, city, zip code. to get the phone number.
Okay,
What is that for? It's called 4-1. Oh, 4-1, yeah. I think it's like 20 or 30 bucks a month, it's free through Redcar. That's for the Virginia Association.
it's huge, and that's just for Virginia.
No, I mean, it covers, I'm just saying, because our association pays for it, but I know my buddy, I know my friend in Colorado uses it. Cool.
Is it like number 4 or FOR?
Oh, FOREWAR. That.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, if you could, anybody have any questions on any of that? If you could, click the next one, please. It's a little small, so I don't even know if anybody can see that, but these are just kind of like how I'm quickly analyzing deals, and then as I get going and, get closer to actually contracting the property, I'll do a better analysis, but typically, like, I'm just trying to see quickly if I can even be in the ballpark. But this is just kind of saying like how we run percentage wise different areas, and that's something that's going to be key. I mean, again, I don't think we have a lot of wholesalers in here, so I don't know if it's as applicable to a lot of you guys, but like DC, we're gonna run under 74%, Baltimore like under 71, Maryland, we can run higher, 79%, and then 81 for Virginia. So what the percentages are is just like a percentage of the ARV. So say a property is worth 100K, so just like for the Virginia example, like I said, I don't know if anybody can see that, but we have 81% minus rehab. So like in Virginia, if a property is 100K, you can, times 100K by 0.81, then minus out the rehab, and then, that's what you can sell that to a cash buyer for. So it's very simple. It's really nothing crazy. And then, as far as like rehabs, I mean, new builds, I don't know if Keyvan agrees with my numbers or if that's light.
That's like.
Yeah, what do you
the
typically
bottom
say?
line.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of our you're saying like 200
So
per
we
square foot?
don't see 150 anymore.
Yeah,
So honestly, for a standard home, we're seeing 180 to 200.
okay,
So
nice.
it's just because prices of materials are so much higher.
Yeah, is that, does that change for, the size of house you're building typically?
It depends on the lot. So, and how much work has to be done on the lot, so it's lot grading, tree removal, stuff like septic and bringing utilities and stuff like that, so.
If you're on public water and sewer, you don't think you get it done for 150, 175? No,
Concrete used to be $90 a cubic yard, now it's 185 a cubic yard.
Yeah.
So just, shingles are up, sidings are up, some other stuff, lumber is standard.
Yeah.
So.
yeah, so take these for a grain of salt, but this is what we use. It goes pretty well for us, but yeah, then DC, so typically we're seeing for a full gut, if you're adding an English basement, investors are spending around 150 per square foot. And then just like a regular gut without adding an English basement or anything like that, like 125. If you're doing like a cosmetic lipstick job sort of deal, not lipstick job, but you're not doing anything crazy, everything in DC is cut. But like a 750,000 ARV or less, like 100 per square foot. And obviously this is renovation is very variable. Like we have investors that'll say like, oh, that costs that much, like you're crazy, and then we'll have the polar opposite of the spectrum. So it's more of just like looking at what other cash assets sales sell for at the end of the day is gonna go a lot further for you. But this is just a quick way to kind of assess a deal, I would say. And then Northern Virginia and Maryland, obviously depends on the year built. Like if you're gonna run a lower per square foot on like a 60s or 70s build than a 1910 build. But just relatively clean 40, got 60, and then we've kind of got these for Baltimore. just gonna be a little different based on the finishes that you're doing there, but pretty standard.
One thing I wanted to add to what I said was, if you hire a contractor, the per square foot price is obviously gonna be higher. Than if you were to partner in a joint venture with a contractor, because the contractor just does a wholesale,
Yeah.
and they're getting it so high.
Right.
So that's,
Do you know any contractors with the JV?
I'll go look.
Okay.
Yeah, no, because sometimes you'll see something, you're like, how the heck did they make money on that? And like, it'd have to be something like that, where they're getting it done at cost.
Costs, yeah.
Yeah, but, yeah.
What would cost be, I guess, for?
Could you give a quick, just like math example? I was trying to take a picture and I lost some of it.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know, I'm looking at like, said like Nova, 40 per square foot relatively clean, like, what do you saying like?
yeah,
What do we say?
like, just like,
Like an offer?
yeah, like an offer, so like, kind of here's how like I'll base my offer, so, let's just use that same example. Got a property in Northern Virginia, I don't know if you can see this, but Virginia, I have 81% minus rehab. So in Virginia, we'll just do 100 times 0.81, say the property is 1,000 square feet. And it's relatively clean, so you're looking at 40K in rehab. So 100 times 0.81 equals 81K minus 40 gets you to oh geez, bad math. What's 81 minus 40? Pretty fun. And then like say you want to make a $5,000 assignment fee, you just subtract 5, pick it up for 36.
So you're saying 100 is, if 100 was the ARV?
Yeah. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Alright, cool. Any other questions on this one? Alright, networking and building relationships. Yeah, I feel like definitely gonna be the biggest part of what you do as a wholesaler is building repeat business friendships. And as Keyvan was saying, I mean, I feel like people remember how you make them feel. And I feel like if you just take care of others, it's naturally, stuff will come back to you. I feel like it's people that get into this industry just trying to make a quick buck, that, naturally just don't because they're all for themselves. So I feel like it's really important to do, just think about others when you're doing this, and especially when you're dealing with sellers, because they're typically going through a situation that they're probably embarrassed about. And they just, this is their nightmare. It's just like being empathetic for them. And just like, I mean, it goes a long way. But most beneficial partnerships, wholesalers, agents, mentors. I mean, there's a lot of people in this industry where you can talk to and skip ahead years that, maybe would have taken you 10, so it'll make, 5 years instead. Just from some knowledge that people that have made mistakes and made things happen. And cash buyers, obviously, you're not gonna ever wholesale a property without someone to actually buy it. Title companies. I talked to Ben Cox at First Class Title, if any of you guys are looking to, for a title company, so much. He's a great guy, but he's very helpful with everything that I'm doing. Hard money lenders, if you can, help get buyers in contact with hard money lenders, you're gonna have a lot more success just connecting the pieces as well as contractors. Getting a contractor bid on a property is definitely, it's gonna help you sell it. Maybe make a connection for an investor that was looking for a contractor in the first place, and maybe, who knows, they're doing business together for years to come, and you're the one that made all that happen. Yeah, there's a lot of facets to this industry, and I feel like just being flexible and just trying to help as many people as you can is important. But negotiation tactics. Yeah, so definitely like the most important thing I would always say, no matter who I'm dealing with, is sellers, agents, wholesalers, whoever, just getting them to like you and trust you. Everything else, falls into place. You obviously have to be an expert. You can't just have no idea what you're talking about and expect, for it to go well for you. You have to obviously put in the work. But those are two things where,
How do you do?
How do
Yeah.
you do that?
Yeah, no, that's a good
Give
question.
us an example.
Yeah, I mean, so say I'm going on an appointment with a seller, I mean, you wanna be casual but firm. I feel like if you kind of go into an appointment just trying to have them like you, it's probably, they're not gonna take you seriously, they're gonna say, no way, this guy can buy my house. Or if you go into it, you know, saying, you know, just coming off very businessly, very businessy, and you know, all I'm there for is a quick walkthrough and I'm out. Like it's probably not gonna go very well for you either. So it's just kind of combining those two things. I would say that how I typically do things is I'm not really selling. Like I am, but like I'm not like trying to sell them. Like I'm just trying to listen and then kind of respond to what they say and kind of format it in a way that makes sense for them. And there's another question that you guys have put in there, essentially like asking, you know, if they are giving you pushback on your offer, like, you know, what should you do? And it's just like not really, I don't think like the way, like I feel like it's like if it is a good fit for them, they'll probably understand that it is, and then you can just, you know, they'll accept your offer. But if listing it on the MLS is a better offer, you know, like maybe outlay the option for them and see like, oh, like this versus this, like you might get more money doing this, but obviously it's gonna take 2 months. Like, is that something, you know, you're fine with, or you know, just stuff like that, making sure it actually is the best fit for their situation and explaining why your company is, you know, kind of a notch above some of the rest maybe, and selling, you know, your company, and just if you take it out, like pushing it down their throat that you're the best option, I feel like you'll end up getting more people to sign with you.
So how do you also provide an exit for them? Because some of these people are in really bad shape,
Yeah,
you know, so how
It-
do you?
as far
do you
as.
do any of that, so to say, here, go through this, but then I'll help you find something in Steven City or something.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we have, cause I'm a licensed agent actually in DC, Maryland, Northern Virginia, but I don't do anything on the retail side. I just do this. But we have, agents that we can, you know, help set them up with, or, you know, do some sort of rent back for them where, you know, after closing and they have, you know, a bunch of cash from the sale where they can still stay in the house for, you know, a month or something like that. A lot of the times, you know, we're not necessarily, I don't know, paying for them for a place to go, like we'll probably just do a post occupancy instead. But we'll help them out where needed. I mean, obviously every situation is gonna be different. I've gotten, you know, truck bed and helped sellers move out of a property before, so proud above it. But if we're there and we're at the closing table, I mean, let's make it happen, but yeah, a lot of times we'll just do post occupancy.
So do the sellers know that you are wholesale?
Yeah, our contracts are very transparent, like we have a cover page that outlines exactly what we do, addendum that does the same thing, and you know, I always. Like I know a lot of wholesalers will say that they're the cash buyer, but then like, you know, we couldn't even do that, because I mean, I have a lot of girls that work in my office and. Like they're like wearing like dresses, and like my coworkers are wearing suits, it's like of like 20 people show up at the house, like these are my contracts, and it's like, it's just like. Not something that, I don't know, so we just tell them what we're doing, and you know, most people are actually pretty receptive to it. It's funny, like, I don't know. People just think if they aren't transparent, that people will like automatically write them off, which is not the case, like. I feel like honestly, they appreciate the authenticity typically, but obviously, we have a little more backing than. You know, some wholesalers, so I get why they do it, but, yeah. We usually just are transparent with them. Is that the last? We have one more? Okay, yeah, I kind of got into this a little bit earlier about the market trends. But the as is comps just weren't as valuable when we first got here, because it, you know, market goes down and it just, you know. Doesn't work as well. You need to buy deeper. Like we're kind of feel like we're kind of in a phase now where there's just not a lot of inventory, so you know, stuff's actually going up, even though interest rates aren't going down. But yeah, I feel like just some trends that help us, contract the deals at the right prices. Just like a little bit more of a buffer for the interest rate. I mean, we gotta factor those into our numbers for sure when, we're putting these out. And just kind of knowing the areas that are hot and the areas that are cold. Because I mean, if you get something like, we just sold one in Woodbridge, that just flew and, it's, doesn't even make that much sense. It's just like, if you know the areas that like investors love right now, like the person that bought it, like she's a realtor, he's a contractor, they got it done in 2 weeks and it's back on the market and it's pending 0 days, but like for us, it's like, it just doesn't make a lot, like how did they bid it up really high and bought it, but like if you know like what areas are scalding hot, like that's gonna be big tool for contracting properties. It was over by, I don't know Woodbridge as well as I should, because I'm the one that contracted it, but they're doing like a new like redevelopment over in that area. I think it's slated for delivery in 2025. I don't know, it's like a shopping complex and they're doing like a bunch of retail. I don't know.
Route 1 and.
Yes, you know what I'm
Route
talking
1 and Gordon.
Yeah.
Boulevard, right?
Yeah.
They're doing the redevelopment on that corner.
Yeah, I don't know what. Over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, right next to that, I don't know what name, I forget what neighborhood it is, but
They're calling it like North Potomac Village or North Potomac Town Center or something.
And are most of your clients investors then? Like investor buyers or they're
yeah,
residential consumers?
no, all investors using cash or hard money or cash equivalent. Yeah.
So once you acquire the property, I think what is the process for investors?
Yeah, so we acquire the property, we have like a 5-day feasibility, or sometimes we do like a 3-day feasibility. In those 3 days, we resell the property to an investor for a higher price. And then they put down a large amount of fundable deposit. And then we close just whenever the slated close date, typically 10 to 14 days.
So but it's a big process for investors as well, or?
Depends. Most of them, we just actually run on a first come, first served basis. So
You have a mailing list or?
Yeah. If you're interested, let me know. Just set price, first one to sign a contract, put down the deposit, we'll get it. But yeah, we'll run, especially like occupied ones where we can just do a one-time showing, typically run at a highest best.
And most is all cash.
Yeah, you get a hard.
Hard
Hard, fine credit.
You guys know what hard money is?
I believe it's like a high, very high interest rate.
It's basically a pool of investors that come together under umbrella of another company who's like a lender. And, they lend it out to people like a bank, but the origination fees, which is what the banks make money off of, and the interest rates tend to be higher.
And those are typically used for like short term.
Yeah.
Typically 6 to 12 months, sometimes you can get away with an 18-month term.
Yeah.
But not usually beyond that.
Yeah, but I'm saying people ideally want that at 2 or 3
Right.
months.
Right, the interest rate's not actually what kills you with those, to be honest, because it's typically 1% a month. Let's just say, for example, you're buying a property and you plan to have it done in a year. Right, so 12 months, and let's just say your interest rate is 12%. Equate that to 1% per month of the amount that you borrow. But it's the amount that you borrow, so if you're doing it on a draw schedule, and you decide I need a couple months for permitting, and I don't really need any of this money right now. I need to bulk my money months 6 through 9, right? You're really only getting charged interest those months on not.
Oh, yeah, okay, so then the bulk of the money is those fees, it's like.
The fees, yeah, a lot of times hard money, it's anywhere from like 1 to, I've seen like folks charge up to like 6% depending on how difficult that deal is. Right, because if no one else is giving you that money, but you want to do that deal, at that time, a hard money lender might be like, oh, like this person really wants to do it, let me just charge them both of the fees.
But going to the next one. Scaling a business. So I think like you can really build like a very scalable wholesale business where you can kind of go hands off. Like for what I'm doing, you know, it's a little bit different considering I'm working for a company. I don't think I'll ever be the CEO. Just with how big the company is. What?
Once you work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, eventually I think like the goal is obviously for a lot of us, a lot of real estate investors to be more hands off and kind of get out of the business as much. But I feel like for me, like building a wholesale business that is very consistent, it's just all about relationships. Like email marketing and text marketing have been great for me too. But yeah, I feel like, you know, most of the stuff that I do is just meeting the right people, meeting the right agents, and they like working with you, you like working with them, and you just do a lot of business together. But yeah.
Do you still do a lot of just looking at the MLS and then calling agents that you might not know based on opportunities? And I guess,
Yeah.
and then, you know, second part of that question is, what piques your curiosity in terms of opportunities on the MLS to then call those agents?
Yeah, no, good question. So I'll do a decent amount of stuff on the MLS. You know, and like I said, like when I'm offering on stuff on the MLS, I am more doing it to meet those agents. But like kind of what piques my interest is, I mean, at this point, I feel like all I do is look at a screen and you know kind of where a good price is in what area. Like I use, if any of you guys are licensed agents, like I just set up auto emails, and when properties come in that, you know, are a certain price in a certain area, it's like, oh, like, you know, 200K in Temple Hills, like I'm gonna, you know, drop what I'm doing and go check that one out. But I feel like that just kind of comes with time. And like I said, you can kind of build a spreadsheet. You can pull duplicates on the MLS. It's kind of cool where you can see like what this investor sold it for once it was fixed up, what they bought it for as is. So you can, like, now I think, like, I haven't been done in a while, but I think it would be more accurate now because like it hasn't changed as much. But you can definitely like pull data on certain zip codes on like where houses trade at. And I think, you know, if any of you guys have MLS access, I think that would be very valuable for just smelling deals fast. Because that's 90% of it. I mean, if it is a good deal and you can pay within, you know, 20% of the asking price, it's probably gone really fast. So like you have to be the first one out there, or you're gonna have to bid. And obviously you'd rather just be the first one out there. Yeah, a lot of it on the MLS though, I'm just trying to build those relationships and interview for future job.
Question, do you need to be a real estate agent to be able to like go and bid on those properties? Find
You do not, and actually, there's this guy named Jerry Norton, you should watch some of his videos. He'll like let the sellers like represent him sometimes, or the seller's agent represent them. I don't know where that's gonna go now that, you know, with all the changing in the real estate industry as far as commissions go, but like definitely you can, like you don't have to be represented by a house ever, but yeah, he'll actually use it to his favor and let them represent it.
And just one thing for my clarification. The MLS shows properties that are going to be coming to market but not on market yet, or is the MLS like off?
Both. Yeah. But there's some good off-market stuff, like, I mean, obviously we have some, like another good options, Ford Brothers, Market Pro Homes, Express Home Buyers. There's this thing called Investor Lift that has some good off-market deals, and
Is there a reason that most states, I know this might be a novice question, but is there a reason why they don't go to market?
yeah, no, it's sometimes like, it is just, it's so specific to the situation. Most of the time, there's either something like really wrong with the house, but I would say like I'm dealing with one that I just contracted. It's like the squatter house is going foreclosure next month on the 17th, and he just like,
Is that squatter?
yeah,
That is from leaving.
yeah,
That's me.
yeah, and so it's just like, I don't know, I feel like you just run into.
I saw this one time, like it was last year, went viral, the person listed a house and said, it comes with a squatter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very viable.
Yeah,
Can you list off quickly the other wholesaling companies you said, Four Brothers, Investor Lift?
yeah, Investor Lift is just like a platform for investment properties, but that's you could find some stuff on there. And then Express Home Buyers, Market Pro Homes, Four Brothers Buys Houses, and then my company is New Western.
To the motivations, you know, and
Yeah.
why they wanna put it, so, I'm dealing with a situation, one deal where. The father, so it's a father, wife, and, the daughter is schizophrenic. House is in really bad shape. And, you know, mother is not doing good at all. And he's in really bad, health. They don't wanna go through the deal of publicizing that, having everyone and their mother see this, so they wanna keep it off market, sell it. And quietly go someplace else.
I think it's called market pro. They sell everything on the second scene.
Mhm.
You can go and check out.
Risk.
Yeah, I think Express Home Buyers does, I think we're really the only wholesaler that lets people see them.
Yeah.
I think the rest is.
Definitely.
Four Brothers got like,
There was a.
Okay,
There's not a chance to get the house inspected, right? Because I know that's a lot of things, people waive inspection.
yeah, no, it's just like,
You know, where you're like, it has to connect.
So to give you an example, I saw one wholesale property last year. And every property that I. You know, purchase or so like the properties that I have ratified contracts on this year, I've seen them, I know exactly what they are. Last year, I went to a property. And the basement wall was separating away from the front of the home. But there was a person who bought it sight unseen, so what did these people do? They just go and finish the basement and put it on the market. So do those holes and separations get fixed? Who knows? You don't wanna deal with that. So either you go and check it out, just, there's common sense of, you know, you go in the basement, is it moist? You go in the attic, is it leaking? Do you see telltale cracks and stuff like that? And so do your due diligence or bring a contractor with you to look at those things, because in the end, you could get sued. You know, if you know something and you didn't disclose it to, you know, the purchaser.
So the second scene means are you not allowed to see it or?
No, it just means, like Ben said, you go through MLS, you see a crazy deal, he drops his stuff and goes, looks at it. Some people say, okay, I'm gonna put an offer in, without even seeing it.
yeah, but yeah, a lot of wholesale companies will just do like, yeah, sight unseen offers. And I think they'll let you. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they'll let you see it before you close.
Some sort of.
Like, yeah, I think you have to sign the contract though. And wire the money. Before you see, I'm actually.
Is there like a placeholder that you could put with these properties, like as in like a deposit or something that gets it assigned to you? Or how does it work usually? Like you find a deal and you want that deal, how do you secure the deal for yourself? Usually, what's the process?
You just would sign the contract and you just submit a deposit, like typically like ours is like 10K.
It's not a percentage, it's just okay.
We'll bump it up, like we do like 7,500 up to 150 or something, and then we'll do like 10K to 500, 20K. From 500 to 750, 750, like 35.
Dictated. You know, for these other off markets that I went after, I just tried to do it as low as possible so that I can give that earnest money, get a ratified contract. And then raise money to go do the purchase and the construction.
Yeah, and we're like a bigger company, so like our deposits are bigger. Like you'll be able to find some wholesalers that'll be able to get you like $1,000 EMD, so you can. Wow. Yeah, I mean, we'll have some wholesalers that maybe they just do that because they know I'm not actually buying it, but we'll get some stuff from wholesalers and they'll have. I mean, they have like $100 on the front side. Like they don't have any money out. Like you can technically give them $100. I think they negotiate with you on that if you want, rather than price. But yeah, like I know like Market Pros and Express Homes, like they typically will have like $100-500 max.
You mentioned negotiating, so if you see property in sites, how does negotiation usually work if you can't, do a federal inspection? Do you just have a number and it's either take it or not?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like honestly, like most of the time I will, cause I mean, I probably look at like, I don't know, a lot of deals a day, 50 deals, 100 deals a day, just like try to like breeze through them as fast as I can. And like, I'll just try and get like a ballpark number for somebody. And then like most of the time, like it'll be like, no, and then like every once in a while I'll be like, yep, and then so I'll continue to work that deal for.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, I mean, so you have to look at a lot of deals to get a good one, I think.
And it also helps you gauge, the more deals you look at, it helps you gauge what's good and what's bad.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that's my contact info. If anybody is looking to sell investment properties, to buy them for cash, you're an agent, you have clients looking to sell, I can definitely pay you like a finder's fee. So there's my plug at the end, but yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.